go. And in the italics of the little heading, so Historia, which is female, which was found in the Libris, in the books of double genitive of the philosopher Sotio. Super, which could probably be, since it's the blade, if you fully use DE, concerning or over the Meretrix, the prostitute, Lady, and the rhetor, Demosthenes. Now, Sotion, who was this philosopher we mentioned here, he's from the Peripatekia discipline, from this school. In English, that's got a capital P as a proper noun. He is Sane, clearly not an ignoble vir, or an unknown man. Is he, accusative librum, he a book of many and varied history, which was refertum, so the librum is refertum, so packed full or stuffed full of various and many histories, which he composited, he composed. And eum, and him, the same guy, inscribed it in Greek, keras emaltheus. This vox, this word, firme, almost is same in strength or power or ability, tamquam, just as if you were to say in Latin cornucopia, and in English we have a cornucopia, it's a horn of plenty. In Eo Libro, in this book we're talking about, super, as we saw before, here's just meaning concerning Demosthenes the rhetor and Meretrix laid, the whore laid, scripturest these words in the history. So in this history or in this story, inquit, he says, or the book says, Lace from Corinth, but because of her elegance and Venustatum, which comes from Venus, the god of beauty, etc., because of her form, basically, her shapeliness and elegance, she demeritated, she earned or merited a grand amount of pecunia, a great amount of money, and conventus, and gathered to meet, at her, to meet, were of the ditorium hominums, were of the richest man from all of Greece, Celebres, Iran. So frequently came all these rich men from Greek, and nequi, and neither were, this is singular, neither was anyone admitted, nisi, unless what they gave, qui dabat, was quod poporesco, which is the reduplicated perfect, what she demanded. Poscabad autem, so moreover she demanded, illas her, a nimium quantum. Quantum's the amount, nimium means an excessive amount. So hic is natum, so here is born what they say, 8 is what they say, what is frequently an adagium, which is a proverb or a saying amongst the Grecos, amongst the Greeks. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. Not every man may fare to Corinth town, or he can't afford to go there. Because, frustra, in vain he would go to Corinth to Ladam, who was not able to give what she demanded. Okay, so if you went there and you couldn't afford it, this saying come about, you shouldn't go there unless you got a lot of money, sort of thing. 5. Ad hanc to her, illi Demosthenes, he Demosthenes, clanculum, this is an adverb like clam, which means secretly he added it, he went to her. And so that he could make a copia, or some means to get to her for himself, which he was seeking. He wanted to secretly get admittance to her. But Lace, she proposcated, she demanded, Mirius drachmas, which is a Greek coin. This hoc facet. So this amount of coins is what the Romans would call decamilia, 10,000 of our nostris, normalized coins, denarium. So 10,000 of our denariuses. 6. Talia petulenta, such petulance of the woman, the mulia, and by the magnitude of the pecunia, by the size of the amount of money, he was ictus, he was struck. And expavidus, so a bit scareful or with his heart beating a bit, he averterade, Demosthenes averted away, he turned away, and disceeding, as he was going away, he inquired. He said, Ego, I shall non-emo, I will not buy such a thing which I will regret. But in the Greek itself, which is, they say, he is to have dixicid, to have said, is more lepidoria, more charming. He said, blah, blah, blah in Greek. Book 9. It's got another intro. I'll just italics it. Quis modo fuerit. This is the method or the way of which the order of the discipline of the Pythagorean school, and quantum means how much of time, was imperatum was ordered and was observed for the discendi for the learning of the learning, and at the same time simul for being quiet or shutting up. 1. The order and ratio. So the order and the way of thinking of the Pythagorean Pythagoras' school, and the inception in turn of his family or his inner circle in school, and of his succession, those who followed after him, of receiving, recipiendae, we see these gerundive things, or druns, and the institutioning of disciples, and the teaching, what they instilled in students. This would be how you apply these gerunds here, the receiving and teaching students, disciples. Huis modo was in this type of way, tradita, it is said, fuisi, to have happened or to have been done. 2. Yam, so it's usually in the past means already, or in the present means now. A principio, from the beginning, the adolescents, the young men, who obtuleranted, who obtuleranted themselves or brought themselves to his teaching, to be taught, to ad discendum, he efficio blah blah them. I'm not going to try and say it anyway. Id verbum, this word signifies, or gives a hint, mores and natures of the men. So the mores are more like their habits and their, if it's good or bad sort of thing. And by this certain conjecture that he got from the Aulus and concerning the ingenium, their character, he's got from their face and their vultus, their bearing, you might want to say, or you could say the mouth and their face, or just that sort of generalia, and from their de totius corporo philo. Okay, so that's probably taking philo there. From the whole body, and the habitu, sometimes it means clothing, usually just means their bearing. Siscatare means to look into or ask questions about it. So basically look them over and observe them and come to some conjectures about them. It's another short day today. So phylum usually means a string or fibre, but we see here it's used for a nature. So that's what philo is. It's the ablative going with the preposition day. It's also used for a wick of a lamp. Okay, back to the plot. Tum, then those who were exploratus, who he had explored them, the people who he had examined, and who were idoneous and were suitable from him or in his mind, he startum immediately uberbated, he ordered them, taking the infinitive, to be received into his school, into his disciplum. And for a certain tempus, which is neuter, for a certain time, they had to tacere, they had to be quiet. Non omnes were idem, so not all were the same, but alias to alias, but pro his estimation by their capacity for learning, captus is a fourth declension, and their comprehension of their cunningness or their skills, this would be how the time was distributed from one to another, all in his estimation. And it'll continue tomorrow.